Good afternoon. My name is Pastor Derek Parks, and I have the privilege today to welcome you to these services for our friend and loved one, Patrick Ford. So on behalf of the family, we want to welcome you and thank you all for attending today. The outpouring of your love is evident today, and knowing that Pat was well loved, and that many people cared for him and loved him. I had the privilege of also being Pat's neighbor for the past 3 years. We lived right next door to one another. So we got to do a lot of fun things together. And one of those things was rooting for the Dallas Cowboys. Pat was my friend. And I'm so thankful for him and his life. And today, we mourn. We mourn the loss of a friend, of a loved one, of a father, a husband. We mourn that today. And as Pat and I grew closer together, Pat would visit my church. And Pat would be so excited when he came to church. And every time he came to my church, he would run up to me and hug me and thank me just for the word and inviting him to be involved. But what Pat didn't know was that every time I saw him walk through the door, it would fill my heart. And he would bring little Tristan with him, and Tristan would run around the church. And it was just a sweet, sweet time knowing Pat. And knowing how much he loved his family. Jen, I can't even begin to tell you all the talks that Pat and I had and how much he loved you. And how proud he was of Gavin and Mia and Tristan. Mia, we had a whole plan devised for when boys would come to visit the house. We want to go bad boy style. I want to say today that Pat, he loved big and he loved hard. And we all know Pat in different ways, different areas of life. But one thing is true, one thing is consistent about Pat, is that Pat could light up a room with his smile. And even when we were frustrated with different projects and different things, Pat trying to help me get my refrigerator in my basement, all those weird things we did together. Pat always had a way of looking and seeing the bright side. So today, as we mourn, I want to remind you just from this passage of scripture in Matthew chapter 5, which says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted." Know that today, that as you mourn, mourning is hard, it's difficult, but there's also rejoicing in Pat's life and who he was. Death is many things, but death is a teacher. It teaches us to remember those that we love. It teaches us to embrace those things about the ones that we love and to cherish them. So today as you mourn, remember Pat. Cherish his life. Cherish the characteristics of his life and the ways that he has impacted each and every one of you today as you walk in. Ms. Ronnie, my condolences to you today. Just remember you riding up the street in that red car all the time. And Pat would talk about you and how much he loved you. So today we want to remember Pat. We want to rejoice. Although we mourn, although we hurt, although we're in pain for a life lost so soon, but we rejoice knowing that Matt loved each and every person that he came in contact.
Hello, Ford family. I'm Elizabeth Knox. I've been a very good friend of Kathleen's since 1984 in high school, so I knew Patrick when he was a young kid, and today's services were so delightful. Now we're at the celebration, and you should remember that all of the heartfelt, funny, wonderful, poignant messages that everyone spoke today about your dad and your brother and your husband and your son meant so much to me. It helped me, and I wanted to tell all of you, Mia, when I would see Patrick at Aunt Kathleen's house, he was always so proud of you. He talked about how smart and intelligent you were. And Gavin, he was so proud of you as well. He was excited for you to be at university and doing so well in your sport. And Tristan, I know that he was delighted to have a small young person in his life again. And I was really happy to see him being so healthy and in recovery this last year. And he was just a delightful, shining human being. And he'll be missed, and I am here to support all of you.
I am Melissa Ford Morich, the privilege of being one of Patrick's older sisters. I know many of you in the room and a lot of new faces here, and I tried to hug every one of you because, as I told you, my family is so appreciative that you're here, and by hugging you, I got a little bit of my brother back to fill this gigantic void that happened on Tuesday of last week. So I just have a few things I want to say, and these are my first thoughts when I found out that I lost my brother. Since learning of my brother's passing, I had been playing memories on a nonstop loop. I've been searching my phone, old photos, Facebook posts, every opportunity to see the smile, and a goofy smile that it was, but it was a good one, even if he didn't think so. I talked to him his last Friday, and he was just calling to check in on me and tell me about his new apartment, which is a funny story if you want to hear it, I can tell it another time. Asking about my kids. We laughed, we caught up, and I did get to say I loved you before I hung up because I never imagined that that would be the last time that I had got a chance to say that to him. When I look back at my life with Patrick, my little brother, I like to think that I was his great protector. I was the big sister that tried to shelter him from the not so fun childhood moments at times, from bad choices that everybody makes, and we know he made some, but it didn't make him a bad person. And I just wanted him to be protected. What I didn't realize, and I realize it now, and I've realized it these last 10 days, that as much as I'd like to say that I was the protector of my brother, he was the one who was mine, and he was always, always there for me. When I look around this room and I see people who've been friends of mine for years, and I realize that you're here not just for me, but because I introduced you to Patrick, and he was a light in every person's life, and I'm just sad that that light has dimmed for all of us. And my family and I appreciate you all being here. We love you, Patrick.
My name is Amy Moser, and I met Patrick a mere 5 months ago when his sister Kathleen and I were reunited because of the death of a mutual friend that Kathleen and I had, Alan Horowitz. And I came over to Kathleen's house the day of Alan's funeral to pick her up and drive her there. And out came running little Tristan, followed by Daddy Patrick, because they were staying with Kathleen at the time. And, well, I fell in love with both of them instantly. Patrick just was very, very warm and welcoming, and his cute little son was there, and you know, we were having a good time just hanging out, waiting for Kathleen to finish getting ready, of course. And then over the last few months, I had gotten together with them a couple of times, seen him at Kathleen's house, and we all went out to the Prince tribute at the Queen, and just had a good time. And I just felt very comfortable around Patrick. I didn't know him very well, but in the few times that I saw him, it was like you felt like you knew him forever, you know? He was just very down to earth, and I think, you know, in the service today, you know, he said so non-judgmental. Like, to him it didn't matter who I was or where I was from, you know? He was just keeping it real. And, you know, listening to everybody talk today, I thought, God, you know, I wish I had more time to get to know him. But, you know, that's all I had, and it was enough, you know. I feel for the people that really had decades with him. I understand what they're talking about. You know, I wish I had more time with him, but, you know, rest in peace, Patrick. You were loved by many.
Hi, my name is Becky. I'm Pat's cousin and the other black sheep of the family. So I just, first of all, Ronnie, you brought such a lovely person into this world. And Pat, you know, sadly we've lost quite a few of the men in our lives. We lost Norm, and we lost my brother T at 43, and we lost Pat. And you know, sometimes when such a beautiful soul goes, especially if you're a black sheep like I was, you kind of wonder why the lovely people go. And Pat was a lovely man, was beautiful physically and a beautiful spirit, and except when he smiled or laughed, because then his whole face would kind of crumple into something that was an altogether different but beautiful thing. He was so charming. But I think that, you know, Melissa, you and I had a conversation about how Pat was one of the most non-judgmental people, and I think it wasn't just that he was non-judgmental, he just really did accept people for who they were. He really did. It was whoever you were, that was good enough for Pat. And I'm not sure that characteristic really emerged until you mentioned that he just was so receptive to everyone. And you know, the nice thing, I'm, you know, like I said, I'm a black sheep and he was too, but he really seemed to have found something in the last year, and those of you who knew him know that something happened. He really just kind of saw a light, but it wasn't a fleeting one. It really had changed him. And when I got the opportunity to spend some time with him in November, I came up to visit, and he and I spent a couple of days together, and you know, we were talking about spirituality, and I said something about, you know, it's going to work out, because it was so, it always seemed like Pat, like he just, you know, he was close, and yet actually he said, I'm not close, I'm there, you know, like he had actually gotten to a place where he really felt a profound faith and connection with whatever it was that his life was supposed to be. And I'm not sure I'm there, so I was really amazed to see that. And so I think that for me gives me comfort, knowing that he had arrived at a spiritual place, and the life was following him, but he was there. So I share that for us who are sort of feeling like he was taken away before. Anyway, thank you for letting me go on, and thank you all for showing up for this lovely human being, because it's now our time to celebrate him, and you've done that for us, so thank you.
I really don't know what to say, except that I love and miss my brother. He was my baby brother, my only brother, and he was something very, very special. I miss you, I love you, and I'm sorry that we were what we were. We had our ups and downs, no doubt, but everything came from the heart, and I hope you know that. And I just love you. You are an amazing guy, and I just wish you knew that. And I hope this somehow today You know that. People just loved you. You're special.
Hi, I'm Chris, and Pat was one of my best friends growing up. Actually, more like a brother. I met him when I was 7, playing soccer. We went to school every year together, had the same teachers every year together. I probably saw him about 340 days a year, every year until I was about 18 and moved away. And speaking on personal experience, what I can say about Pat is everybody that ever came into contact with him really cared about him, really loved him, really liked him, was really drawn to him. And sorry, it's hard to put so many years into such a short moment. The many nights, there's so many experiences that me and him had that I cannot share with you guys. There's so many experiences that I would not want to share with you guys because it's personal bonds that we had together. But I can definitely say for all the people that he came into contact with, including myself, he always got the best out of us. He was also a basketball teammate for many years, a soccer teammate for many years. And he always got the best out of us. And it was very rare for him to have a harsh word about anybody. It was very rare for him to be negative about anything. And, you know, I lost contact with him for about 2 decades until about 6 months ago. And I tried to help him out with some things that he was going through. The one thing I can definitely say is we had some very intimate conversations, and he loved his family. Jenny, he loved you very much. He loved the kids very much. You guys very much. You guys know Eddie personally pretty well. But he just loved life. Even when he was hurting, even when he was suffering with certain things, he loved life. And with that, the greatest solace that I can take from this is he's not suffering any longer. And that he's with one of my favorite people right now, which is his grandmother. And thanks for letting me share.
Hello everyone, my name is Ian. So Pat's been my best friend for about 25 years now. So I thought about where to start with Pat, and the first thing that came to mind was the thing that he liked the most, and that's talk. So when I first met Pat 25 years ago, he was instantly the easiest person in my life to talk to. The thing about him is he could go into a room, it didn't matter where he was. He could go to the inner city and he could make best friends with the toughest guy on the block. He could be in a black tie event and he could make the CEO laugh. He just made people feel comfortable. You know, with me, he always kind of like had an understanding with me. If I was like upset or something, he would just kind of listen to me, and then he would, you know, I'd be going at it about something stupid, and then he'd just look at me and say, "Come on, E." And I knew that meant, you know, I'm probably wrong, but so I would just let it go, and then sometimes, you know, I didn't let it go, and he would, you know, the "come on, E" would turn into "I got you," which meant, you know, even though you're wrong, you're my best friend, and I have your back. And Pat always had my back. Now, my first encounter with Pat was when I was a senior in high school. My soccer team was number 3 in the state, and we were playing Pat's team, who was Wilmington High School, who was a notoriously terrible team. So, needless to say, his team beat ours that day. And it was a sign of things to come. But I'll get back to that. Pat and I met 2 years later when we became teammates on our college soccer team. The first day of practice, I gave him a ride home, and that was the beginning of 25 years worth of memories. Now, unfortunately for me, a lot of those memories ended the way that soccer game did, with him beating me. Because Pat was one of those people that was freaking good at everything. I could not beat him at anything. Basketball, soccer, spades, Tecmo Bowl, ping pong, beer pong, everything. Like, he always beat me. He was just a natural at everything. I'm going to go into some details about some memories. I'm not going to go into details, I'm sorry, about the memories I have. I'm just going to say some quick things that I share with Pat. I'm sure a lot of people here share with Pat. And my favorite memories of sitting with Nan, just listening to Nan tell us stories while sweating because Nan kept it like 100 degrees in the train. God, there's so many. I don't know why this one stood out to me when I was thinking about it, but ketchup on his mac and cheese. 25 years ago, he did that. You know, a lot of people do it now, but 25 years ago, he's putting ketchup on his mac and cheese, and nobody did that. Rito sandwiches, and that was like when we were in college. You know, you always have your poor food when you're in college. We would buy a loaf of bread and a bag of Doritos, and we'd stick the Doritos between the bread, and we'd add the coin term Dorito sandwich. So that was South College Avenue, Wilson Street. My name's Monroe, but you can call me Money. When him and I moved to Florida, our 18-hour drive down to Florida, where we listened to Biggie Smalls and the Fugees on repeat for 18 hours. Our 4 months in Florida, in Miami. Our apartment in Heritage Court, the streak that's between us, West Wall, and volleyball at the Inkwell with the Amish people. And that was our name for the beach place. We called it the Inkwell, the little place down in Mariner.
Yeah, that's really.
3-2 exactas in Lucky Louie at Delaware Park.
Oh my God.
IA Sports and Triple Malone Keith Parlay. His love of the Cowboys. Thanks, Ryan. And crabbing at the pier at Gulf Point and summer 2008 legendary. Those were the fun memories, but I was also lucky to be a part of Pat's life for some of his proudest moments. Marrying Jenny, watching the kids grow up. This last year, he talked a lot about how happy he was to be a dad again. Talked about how, Tristan, like him and Gavin, loved to have the ball at his feet and in his hands. Talked about how Leah was so grown up and so pretty and so smart now. And he always, would text me all the updates during Gavin's games at noon, and, I would get these texts. Gavin's being a knucklehead, just got a yellow. Gavin just got one. Gavin just got another one. And of course, he always talked about Jenny. It was always complicated, but the constant was he always loved Jenny. And I have funny stories. So it was probably in, I'm going to say late summer. I'm on a meeting at work, and I see Pat call, and I gotta go because I'm on the meeting. But I see a text come through, and it says, "Yo, E, I need you." So I'm like, all right, you never know. I didn't know if he was worried or what. So I hurried up off the meeting, and I called him up, like, "Hey, what's up?" He's like, "Yeah, I need to borrow some clothes," because he always borrowed clothes from me. And I was like, "All right, good, come over." And I'm like, "Well, what's going on? You got a job interview or something?" He's like, "No." He's like, "I'm taking Jenny out to Philly on a date. I gotta look sharp. I gotta impress her." So it always amazed me, like, this is 20 years together, and he still was worried about impressing her. There were the struggles, but I distinctly remember a conversation when Pat got out of rehab, it was the first time I seen him after he had gone through everything. We went to lunch and talked for 3 hours. And the one thing that stood out to me in that conversation was him saying he didn't want those years to fucking him. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that other than say I was really proud of him regardless. I truly believe he was the happiest he had been in his last year. You know, he was looking at it good again. He had lost a ton of weight. You know, he was getting back to being praised. You know, the guy that walked in the room, and also the guy when he walked in the room, all the ladies in the room. You know, he was really excited about being in Texas. It wasn't easy. He struggled. He sent me texts, you know, how he was homesick and, you know, how much he was missing the kids. But he felt like he had to stick it out because he felt like it was what was best for him. And he was really looking forward to getting Jenny and having out there eventually. So I struggled where to end this because, you know, Pat's life ended way too early, you know, before it should have. But I'm just going to end it with how Pat ended our conversations for the last 9 months. And that's by saying, I love you, my brother.
Hi, I wanted to share one of my favorite Patrick moments with you, which became a moment later. It was not such a moment when it happened. Patrick wanted a pair of somebody's basketball shoes that cost over $100, and I was not going to buy them. And of course, he was shocked out of his mind that I said no because he was a mama's boy. Fast forward a week or so, I go to one of his basketball games with a friend, and I had let him take my car to drive to the school because they all rode the team bus. After the game, I'm walking out in the parking lot, and I'm standing there, and this car goes by that I thought, that looks like my car. And as the car goes by, I see my license plate number on this car that had 5 people in that I'd never seen before in my life. So of course, I march over to stand by the team bus to see what's going on, and I'm sure all the other guys were telling Patrick that I was out there because he's not coming out, he's not coming out, he's not coming out. Finally, he had to come out because I think, they kicked him out. I'm like, Patrick, what in the world were you doing? He had rented my car to these guys so that he could get the money for the shoes. Oh yes. So as I said, that's one of those stories that became funnier as the years went by. Not so funny back when it happened, no way. But yes, that's how Patrick was. And I spoiled him, I know I did, but now I'm glad I did. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Eric, and I know Pat through a marriage to a cousin, through a Wilkinson. And I just thought I would share something briefly. It's a poem by Ralph Waldo Emerson. It's called What is Success? To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children. To earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends. To appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. It was a success. Hope he's remembered as a success.
My name is Victor. I met Patrick my first day of work at the University of Delaware. And as my man said, when I walked in the room, it was like he knew me already. Very competitive. I taught him how to play dominoes, and then he learned how to beat me. That kind of guy. When I needed a friend, Patrick was there. time, I try to be there for him. We drove across country together. Spent nights in hotels together. I tried to check him when I knew he was out of line. And he did the same for me. I mean, I got 20 years on that guy, but Patrick, he was always on point. He's a good dude. I'm gonna miss Patrick. Gavin, Mia, your father's a special man. Very, very special. I mean, I have things, private memories that Pat and I shared together, and that's how I'm going to remember him. Thanks.
So I didn't have anything written down. I've been thinking about what I'm going to say for my family and him, and I don't really want to share any memories. I don't want to do any of that. I just want to thank all of you for coming, every single one of you, whether I actually know you or I just gave you one of the, oh yeah, how are you? I know that each of you had your moment with him, and I just want to thank all of you for being here and showing all your love and support. And I love you, Dad. Thank you.
I didn't think I'd be making this video so soon. Definitely not right now, but we're here. Dad, I just want you to know that I love you more than anything. And I want to thank you for everything. No matter all the shit that you fucked up with, I really don't care about any of that. I'm glad that the last 2 months of your life were happy in Dallas, and I'm gonna go down there and I'll keep doing stuff for you, don't worry. I'll look out for Mom and Mia and Tristan, of course. I know you cared about them the most, and me, of course. But I just want you to know that I love you more than anything. Thank you, really.
I just wanted to say that I loved him so much, and we all did, and we all know that he loved us. And he was just, all we did was laugh, and I missed him a lot. And I'm glad he's in a better place. That's all I'm gonna say.
Hi everyone, I'm Jennifer. I've been with Patrick for 20 years. And there's not really much I can say except for that we grew up together and he was the better half of us. I might have been the stubborn one and the bossy one, but he was the better half. Like everybody said, he had a big heart, and I attribute that to the 4 women he raised him, which is his mother and his grandmother and his 2 sisters. So that heart and that love that he has, they came from them. As many of you guys know, me and Patrick's relationship was always up and down. He kept it interesting. But he always had, a smile on his face, and he loved everybody. And, some people were a little bit standoffish. Pat came and hugged everybody. That was him. That was just the way he was. And he had funny sayings, things that, his friends would know. Good looking. He would wear those weird scarf things on his head. But that was Pat. He didn't need to conform because, as he said, he was the best looking one in the room. Unfortunately, half of my children are from that, and I'm afraid that some of them have taken that trait. But more than anything in the world, that was a loving dad, a brother and son. And he will be missed dearly. And to look out and see all of you people here lets me know that he touched every single one of your lives. And you touched his. You did. But I want to thank everyone for being here. I love you, baby. And one day we will be back together. Hi, Daddy.
Hi, Daddy!
Say, I miss you.
I miss you, Daddy!
And I love you.
I love you, Daddy!
Hi, babe. We're sitting here and we miss you so much. But we know that you're in a better place. And we know that you're watching over us every moment. And that you're going to be with us for a very, very long time. Well, we miss you.
Yeah.
Love you.
Love you too.
Mwah.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
All done, baby. Thank
You'll be missed and you're loved, and would have enjoyed today's celebration. So thank you, I love you, I miss you.